Today on ham radio, the K0MAD, we're going to take this pile of parts and we're going to make it into one of these guys, a replacement for my roof node that I keep on my truck all the time. As you can see, it's got a bunch of silicone on it. A bird or something hit this thing and it put a crack in the lid and I had to seal it up with some silicone. So I'm going to make another one and we'll make it in front of everybody the best I can. And so if anybody wants to build one, you'll see how to do it, and I'll also leave a link in the description of all the parts that I did use in this video. So we'll get started. First, we need to move some of these parts out of the way and figure out what goes where. So we need to get, and this is the Rak Wireless Board 1 B1 Wismesh B1 there. And what's neat about this has the Bluetooth antenna built straight into it. You do not have to use an extra or separate Bluetooth antenna like this. All built into one. So a little less parts in the box to take up space, because a lot's going to have to go into this box. The battery, the unit, mounting plate for the unit, USB extension cable to go through the box to be able to charge and program it. So anyway, we'll get this laid out. Now we'll start out figuring out how all this is going to fit. This is going to go in the lid. That is just a 3D printed base plate that I made, so I can put some double-sided adhesive on it. And let's get these screws out of the way. Anyway, there has to be room for the antenna connector to come through the board and for this guy to fit around it. About like that, so. And I have to leave room to plug in the battery, which don't need to have a lot of room for that. I can probably put it in there just about, yeah, that'll fit just like that. Yep, we'll stick that down just right there. I'll drill it and I'll be right back. Alright, now that we got that drilled, I just used a step bit to do the drilling. I'm going to set this plug in there and make sure everything fits where we want it to. Set that down in there and then make sure this is going to fit around it. Oh yeah, it's going to fit just right. We're going to just go ahead and we're going to stick this guy down right now. There we go. And then we'll tighten this up, but not too tight, so we have to know what the clocking needs to be for the connector. So leave that loose for now. Figure out how this is going to route and plug in. I think that's going to do it right there. Nope. Alright, we'll use a pin to push this little connector on. Just like that. And now everything's in the top of the board, so if this thing were to ever get a leak, which I've not had any troubles with mine leaking until I cracked it, it keeps all the water in the bottom. The only thing in the bottom is the battery, and as long as this part of the battery, where the cord is at the top, which is where the BMS is, the only thing that's going to touch, water's going to touch, is the battery. So, worst come to worst, battery catches on fire. Just kidding. Alright. We'll figure out where the battery's going to go and we'll be right back. Alright, now we got the unit mounted to the lid. We need to figure out where the battery's going to live in conjunction with this through connector that's for charging and updating firmware. I've kind of figured it out already. I had to grind out a little spot in here so the battery had room to fit in there along with that connector. So I've already kind of marked a hole, or a spot to drill a hole. I'm going to drill that hole and we'll be right back and stick all this together. Alright, got our hole drilled for our through connector. We'll get our gasket put on it, get it installed. And I've not had any trouble with these connectors leaking with the little lid on them. They got a gasket inside the lid. And even without, I'm not too sure anything could get through if the lid, say, got lost. I mean, you wouldn't want water getting in there, but I think it would save your bacon nonetheless if something were to happen. I'll leave this loose just in case we got to clock this. Then we'll tighten it when we're done. And next is the battery. I already put some double-sided tape on it. And these batteries, they're a 2-pack for $24.99, I believe, on Amazon. The only thing you need to really make sure on these is make sure the polarity is correct, because sometimes you get them and the polarity is wrong. So it looks like right here's how it plugs in. Now if you can see on this board, there's a little positive sign there, and they do line up, so polarity is correct. And these batteries will run this device for 2, sometimes 3 weeks, depending on how much activity it gets. So I'm not too worried about solar charging or having a way to constantly keep battery charged. I can take this thing off the roof and charge it for, 5 hours every 2 to 3 weeks. It's really no big deal. But anyway, I've had a lot of fun with the one I've got. So we'll stick this guy down in here. And that's that. And here's the Alfa 915 antenna. My favorite antenna for these portable devices like this. This thing has incredible range compared to the little whip style antennas you get on these things, or these little cheesy 2-inch long things. But a 2-pack of these, I think they're not too bad either. $15 or something like that for a 2-pack of these. A great little antenna. Always make sure the antenna's plugged in before you power your device up. Never power a device up without antenna, because once you plug it in, it will turn on and it will start transmitting, and you could let the magic smoke out. Anyway, we'll go ahead and get this battery plugged in. See if this thing comes on, and then we'll put the gasket on it and close it up. Then I'll update the firmware off screen. Everybody can see videos on how to do that. And there it is. It is on. I'll put this gasket on it. And a hint on putting these gaskets on. It's a one-piece gasket that has to come back to itself. Do not put it together like this. Cut a little angle on it like that. And then where it comes together, you want to put another angle. And the thinking behind that is when this lid screws together, this one comes down on that one and they make a seal better. So that's a hint I've learned to keep these things dry. So I'll get this gasket put on and we'll show you the completed project, and then we're going to put these little magnetic feet on there. And we'll show you what the completed project looks like. And we'll give one last look how I do this gasket. You see the angle that I cut on both of those, and that's so when this one gets pushed down in, it'll be forced to seal on top of that when the lid gets screwed down. It'll be a little proud like that, but once that lid pushes down, it'll seal the two tight together. And they give you plenty of gasket. That's how much I cut off, so you don't have to worry about losing any gasket. They usually give you a couple inches too much. Anyway, we'll see how all this squeezes together in here now. There it is, all sealed up. There's that little extra gasket. It just kind of squeezes out, no big deal. And there's your weatherproof cover for the charging slash programming port. And we'll get these feet put on it, and I'll show you the finished product. Well, here's the finished product. These magnetic feet are much stronger than the ones on my other device. I've never had a problem. This has never come off of the roof of the truck ever. And I've been 90 miles an hour. Not incriminating myself, I hope, but these are, I think, 3 times stronger hold than those. Again, I'll leave links in the description for all this stuff. So if you want to build one yourself, this is half of the price to build this compared to a certain company that's building a magnetic roof node. So actually less than half the price. You can build this, I think, for roughly $90 or less. It's $35 for the device, you know, the magnetic feet. Of course, you're buying 2 antennas. I think you can buy these as a single, and you're buying 2 batteries. So you're better to build 2 of these than the one, because you'll actually save more if you build 2, because you'll have 2 antennas, 2 batteries. So anyway, I'll leave links in the description below. Hope everybody enjoyed this little assembly video of my little roof nodes that I like to keep on my truck. Again, I use the SenseCap Seed Studio, the little T1000E. I don't have one in here. I'd show you. I'm sure everybody knows what they are. But they don't have very much range by themselves. But you put this on the roof of your truck, you know, you got at least a mile around your vehicle that you can link to this. And then this thing, you know, it's good for, I mean, I've seen just from my house straight to this node, I've seen 7 miles on the roof of the truck. So very, very, very good range out of these Alfa 915 antennas. Again, the device is the Rak Wismesh B1. Also, I forgot to mention that you do not have to have any physical buttons on these devices to turn them on or turn them off. So you don't have to worry about having any 3 buttons. You can turn this device off through the Meshtastic app, and then when you want to turn it back on, you just plug a USB cord in. As soon as you plug the USB cord in, the device will power up. So that's the nice thing about these Rak wireless devices. No physical buttons are necessary to turn the device off or to turn the device back on. Again, just plug a USB cable in to turn it on, or program it, or charge it, and turn it off via the app. Shut down node. So hopefully that helps. If anybody's wondering how come I don't have any buttons, I try to keep them as simple as I can. Anyway, thanks for watching the video.